Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Council. It's your girl, Cosette,
Lexi, and Rachel.
and I don't know about you girls, but I'm feeling a little fatigued right now.
Oh,
I am.
I'm feeling fatigued.
Well, we got energy drinks
but
in
what
the house.
from?
Yes.
Is it from the dating life?
The dating life.
Oh,
Ah.
being in the dating world is very fatiguing.
So we are talking about dating fatigue and how exhausting it is. Well, I'm not per se fatigued from dating. I'm fatigued from my big lunch. But we're making it work. We just got back from lunch. We're all feeling a little bit midday slump. And sometimes you feel midlife slump when you're dating and it feels like it is never going your way and you're going on date after date and you just can't catch a damn break. So
We've all been there.
we've all been there. Let's talk about it. I think especially in the culture of dating apps where you just feel like you're going on an endless cycle of dates and it's not going your way.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever felt this way?
Rachel?
Hold for sneeze. Okay.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Rachel, have you ever felt dating fatigue?
Definitely. I feel like, I was in a super long-term relationship and then I started getting myself out there and literally these boys be wild. They're just like, you don't know what they want. You don't know their agenda. And it's like they say they want one thing and then they don't. And then they promise you the world and you get nothing. It's exhausting.
Makes me tired just remembering those stages of where we were at. I'm like, I hate that part.
Oh
Or
my
it's
gosh.
necessary and you learn, but oh my goodness.
It could be so exhausting. Especially it's like
mentally exhausting.
when
It's
you
Yeah.
when you are meeting a new person, you start that conversation all over again. Imagine
my
that
gosh.
times 10.
just,
You
that
have to-
times 20.
Someone has to relearn all of your little, maybe like triggers and trauma and quirks, and you have to learn that about someone else. And it's just like, oh my gosh, can we just freaking get this over with already?
Literally, it's crazy. I remember I was online and I saw this guy on a dating app, and literally his like first or second message he would send was a PDF of like a breakdown of his whole entire
Oh
self
my
because
gosh.
he's been
Oh
doing
my
this too
gosh.
many times.
That's hilarious.
I
I
was like,
wouldn't
that's
want someone to learn
hilarious.
that way,
Yeah.
but
I get it.
honestly,
he
we've all
was
we've all
tired.
gotten to that point where we are just tired. We
Yeah.
That
I-
is so funny. Oh my gosh. A PDF with everything. But no, I think it's funny. It's what we build up to because you talked about how we start over the conversation. And when I think about that, I'm like, oh my God, if I ever had a date again, I just go right to not just the small talk, but like they're going to have to learn all my little quirks and
Yeah.
craziness and funny moments and how I prefer my tomato soup or like all the little things that it makes us close to someone. I think that's what makes breakups hard is like, oh my God, the way they did this, the way they did that. And then you're like, oh my gosh, someone's going to have to relearn all this about me and I'm going to have to relearn all this about someone else. I get exhausted before I even go on a date because I'm like,
I know.
oh my gosh, I'm building up all this like, what if this one doesn't work out? Then I have to do it all over again. And
Yep.
we're gonna have to laugh and do funny things and like, oh, did you go to this restaurant before? Haha, you did with your ex. Oh, I did with my ex. And it's like, ah.
So do you guys feel like that's the most exhausting part of dating is like learning those small little specific things about people?
I think that's actually a fun thing when you like the person. I think that's actually a really fun thing to hear them say another story because it's new to you and it's new how they're going to receive your story. And so I don't think I'm giving it enough credit that when you're in a dynamic with someone that you're just starting to like those butterflies and everything, it's really fun to share those things and be like, oh, like I broke this bone when I was 4. And like, even though I told that story 1,000 times, having them react to it and be like, ask new questions or something, it's really engaging. So I think what's fatiguing is when it's not the right person and you can kind of tell it's not the right person. So you're just answering questions like it's not bad, but you're like, okay, we'll just get through this date and like, oh, like it's not horrible and maybe we'll go on a second, but then you realize no, it's not. So then you go on another one or potentially you're seeing different people at different times. And it's just also what story are you telling who? And oh, they didn't hear that story.
Confusing.
Oh, must have been another person. And it's just a lot.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
think
lot.
I think the small talk is the toughest for me. Like if I were going on first date after first date, like having to run through what school I went to, where
Yeah.
my family's from, where I grew up, like all that
But
small
you're so
stuff.
good at you're so good at sprinkling in other types of crazy conversations. Like
That's
in
why
the-
I try to just
thought-provokers.
get past the small talk.
and I learn a lot about how to switch up conversations and do that, but at the same time, it's inevitable to get through those items as well. Like
Yeah.
maybe you say it in a different way, like, "Oh, one time when I was going to school at this school, this funny thing happened," and then they'll be like, "Wait, you went to this school? What?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, that's a side note. That's just small talk."
I've definitely been in the situation where I tell a story and I'm like, I've told you that story though, right? And they're like, nope, wrong person.
Well, we've done that movie.
We've all been on one or the other side of that. But yeah, especially like with dating apps, I think it feels so repetitive. Like you're swiping all day and
The
then
same, like, "Hello, wanna meet?"
yeah,
Or, "Oh, like this picture," and then it's just like, "Can we go on a date?" And it's like, that's the end goal, right? Do we like each other to go on a date? And then it's so repetitive, and it's hard to switch it up. Like, what kind of different crazy first dates can we go on? Also, I need to stop using the word crazy because I've said it like 5 times in this episode.
That's okay.
I've taken mental note.
I have not taken mental
I
note.
take
I
a
have
mental
not.
note, but it's how can I make this a different type of date? How can I make this a different type of conversation? How can I connect with this person differently? It's hard on dating apps because you don't know when your person is going to come. We all want it to be our person, right? Like, doesn't matter if we're in the dating game or not. We want to hit it off with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
And that expectation of like, is this going to be the person? Is this going to be the person? I think we fatigue ourselves a lot faster just thinking about it than doing the actions.
Yeah.
I'd say just a tip out there: if you're trying to shoot your shot, the first message, don't say hey or don't say sup. Literally, that's like shows zero effort. That literally drives me nuts. It's like, what am I working with?
Yeah.
What am I working
Yeah.
with? It's
Yeah.
frustrating.
Hey,
it's like,
sup? Then you're like, hey. Now you're wasting maybe a day where they're just saying, hey,
Back and forth.
what's up?
Yeah.
And you're like, nothing. Are we
Literally.
going on a date? What's going
yeah,
on?
What's going on? Like, where's the movement?
Oh, sorry.
Ugh.
Just got back from a trip. Want to meet up? And you're like, it's like a whole week then of them saying nothing at all, and yet ugh.
And that's exhausting in itself, trying to
Ugh.
coordinate a date with someone, and it just feels like it hasn't lined up, and you're like, bruh, like, just
Yeah.
let's make it happen already. I'm so done with this. So I want to talk a little bit about the stage that I was in before I met Mr. Tennis, because I know you were in a similar state before you met Bachelor, and I'm curious to hear
Yeah.
if you were / if you have been in this situation in past relationships. And it's that I felt like I was sitting down next to one of my very good friends, and I was like, I'm just exhausted. I just want to have a boyfriend. I don't want to have to go through the dating. I don't want to have to. I'm so done freaking going on dates with people and it not working out for one reason or the other. Like, it's exhausting. Like, I just want a boyfriend. And he was like, you can't have a boyfriend unless you go on a date. And I'm like, ugh, I have to date
That
someone in
how
order
it
to get a
works?
boyfriend.
No.
That's so exhausting. And then he pushed me to going on a date or two. And that's when I met Mr. Tennis. And I talked about this in one of our past episodes, but like it felt easy and then it made more sense. And then I was like, okay, and now I'm finally in a place where I'm like, okay, this is what I've been working towards. But it's funny how it's like when you're at your lowest is usually when it happens.
Yeah.
And
Literally.
you felt
Rachel's-
similarly,
yep.
right?
Literally, exactly. I was so done with dating and like, ugh, LA, come on.
I remember.
Oh my
I remember
gosh,
your
like-
time. They took you on a trip.
I was like put through the ringer. Oh my goodness. Just, whew, if this is what I'm going through, I feel bad for everyone else out there as well, because I'm sure everyone else is dealing with this. But I was at my ends of me. I was so done. I was like, I am done with dating. Like, literally, I put out in the universe, I am done. Like, literally, I'm done searching. I'm not putting any more effort. Zero effort. And the moment I do that, literally that week, I, get introduced to my partner that I'm with now, which is
know.
wild.
So
Like,
are you saying that you need to put out into the universe that you don't want anything in order for it to happen? Is that what you're saying?
no, but
I heard that message.
if you're actively, like, you can't be hyper focused on finding, like, I want to find love. Like, you can't force love.
True.
You have to let it happen naturally.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's what I
true.
did. I was like, okay, like, it's in your hands. I'm, obviously I'm open, but I'm not going to actively pursue it. And if it comes my way, then, it
So
comes
is,
my way.
is
True.
fatigue something that you experience when you're not finding the right person, or if you're just dating a lot and like having like I know you can get tired both ways, but I think I felt fatigue when, and it sounded like you hit fatigue when you weren't connecting with the right people. Like you were just tired of putting effort into people that weren't returning it, and that was like the exhausting part, not necessarily like the dating and having fun, because I think in a lot of ways that can be rejuvenating. If you're like going on good dates, you're seeing great people, you have great friends in your life, you're like, this is exactly what I want to be doing in the moment, is just dating and doing this, but people are actually like, they're making dates with you, they're making plans, you have like this good flow, right? Then I don't know if you hit fatigue as fast as when you're like, you're actively trying to be in something and put effort into seeing someone and it's just not working out. Because I think that's when I know I was like, I'm just so tired of like of being confused and like, what am I doing wrong? And also like they said they liked me, but they don't now, and now they don't want to be in a relationship. Like, so I just put all this time into someone who didn't. Now, what do I do? Like, I think I shouldn't date.
I think that in that situation, the hope that you get from dating kind of acts as the rechargement or the charge.
Okay.
You know, so like if you're going on date after date and it's just not going well, you're feeling more and more drained. But then when you go on a good date, you feel a little bit boosted, and you're like, oh, okay. But like it all depends on what you're looking for. Like I had been looking for a relationship, so when I was meeting someone who may have been great, but it wasn't resulting in a relationship, I wasn't necessarily being like, well, it's still fun. I was getting exhausted because I'm like, how many 4-month-long situationships do I have to go through before I find someone who actually wants to have a relationship? You know,
take it to the next step after 4 months.
You're laughing because you know it's true.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's like, oh.
But I think if I was in the stage where I was just looking to go on fun dates with people, then I would be fine with that.
I'm like, I don't know if that's dating fatigue. Yeah. It's like, that's fun. It's exactly what you want to do and you're getting fulfilled. But when you have a different agenda and it's not working out, then it's hard. You're like, the hope is draining, especially I think in big cities. It's so hard to date and I guess keep those, because people are always switching it up. And I don't know if that's through a mixture of people saying it to you and that myth and then experiencing those bad eggs out there, but it just feels like it's so hard to date. It was hard to date in LA when I first got here. And like all the guys were like, I just want to have, like, I'm just here to have fun, not for a long time, here for a short time or whatever it was, a fun time. Yeah. I'm like,
you're 35.
Like, so we're dating to just not be together? Like, I'm confused because I thought we date to be together.
I thought that's the whole point.
Yeah, I thought that's the point. And it's like, oh, no, we're just casually going on dates. We're casually hanging out. We're casually making each other feel good. But no, we don't have any intentions to be more.
Yeah, literally.
And that was really like, oh.
Yeah.
That's hurtful.
Literally intention. It's like you go on a date with someone and it goes so good, and you go on another one and you're another one and you're like, okay, like what is it between us? Like we're feeling, a connection, and like you're making me feel giddy and I know I'm making you feel giddy. And then they're like, yeah, I'm not looking for anything serious.
Yeah, then you're like,
then
so
why
am
do
I
you have
making
me all
it up
riled
in my
up?
head? Like it felt like we were both having a good time. Then what are you feeling on your end? Or what are you seeing on your end that's like, oh, like I like her, but no, she's just not it for me. Like, because there must be a disconnect in some way, because I remember a guy you were saying that like when you were together, you said, oh, it's great. Like when we're together, we really hit it off. But then we're separate, no communication, nothing.
Yeah.
And then it keeps you in that limbo of like, but it feels like we have good chemistry. So what is it?
And that's the biggest red flag. Like, obviously when you're with someone physically, like they could give you all the attention and focus, but it's when you guys are away from each other.
That's
and it's
the
like
telling part.
that's telling.
And that's also like
they're
also
showing you how
part,
important.
I remember
that you
how many
are.
girls' nights where we're like waiting to see if he'll text you back and like just be like, oh, I sent him this. Should I send him another? And you just like drain yourself just by thinking, okay, when is it too much to reach out? Oh, do you think 2 days is too late? He says we were gonna have a date tomorrow, but he hasn't said anything.
Oh yeah, literally.
And we're like,
it's
oh
exhausting.
man, it's so tiring.
Also, just want to throw this out again. Guys or girls, if you plan a date, make sure you follow up the night before or, morning of. Like, that literally helps.
Depending on when it is, to confirm.
If you,
Yes. You made a plan to go on a date, again, confirm before it actually happens.
Yes.
Like, hey, just checking in. We're still on for tomorrow?
Yes.
Awesome. Cool.
Yes.
I'll text you tomorrow
Effort
then.
is attractive. I think people try to play it cool way too often when it's like, you're not being like a simp or whatever. Like I
Oh my
like when a guy's
gosh.
putting in effort. In fact, if you're a simp, I love that.
I
Like
love that.
I eat that up. It makes me in turn more attracted to you.
And it makes
You're
me
actually
give
sexier.
more.
Gas
And
me
it makes
up.
me
Gas
yeah.
me up.
So when
Ugh.
we've hit that fatigue and we're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so done with dating, how can we give tips to the viewers on how to hit that reset button and find some more hope when it comes to dating?
I think Rachel had a good point when it's just like, just kind of like putting it out in the universe, like I'm done dating, and then just
If it
focusing on
comes,
you,
yeah.
having fun, and like I think recharging that way, because when you realize that, oh, I only need myself or my friends to have fun and recharge and feel great, then you put that back in the universe and you're like, oh, I'm confident, I'm like hot, and I'm
Uh-huh.
smart, and I'm confident, I'm driven, and like you feel all those things again, and then you'll put it back out, and someone's gonna find that, or you're gonna be ready to go back on the apps, or you're gonna be ready to meet someone with this new energy, because when you're drained, that's the kind of energy you give out, and I don't know, maybe you're more like, I don't know, maybe all those red flags are more like beige flags, or like more like yellow flags when you're tired, because you're like, I just will go on this date. Oh,
Yeah.
he spoke about his family this way. Well,
Well,
I'll just
whatever,
finish out this
honestly,
date.
yeah.
Right. But like when you're like, I'm done, I had enough, you recharge, you get your boundaries reset, and you're like, okay, like, wait, I know my worth again. Like,
Yeah.
I'm having fun with my friends. This guy's not, if he doesn't add to that, then I don't need to waste my time.
Yeah.
And like, you
Yes.
just, I think it's just easier to reset that and be like, okay, I don't need to go on those dates with those people anymore.
Agreed. And I
100%.
think yeah, what you're saying about like your boundaries or your standards being lowered when you're really hitting that point of
Yeah.
fatigue is so true. And I think something that helped me a lot is listening to self-help or dating podcasts or videos on TikTok and whatnot to kind of rejuvenate that sense of
I
self-worth
agree.
and remind me how confident I should be, how what behavior I should be standing for. And I think it's just a good reset to like set yourself back
That's
to
a
that.
great point. I don't know if we've mentioned this before, but I'm pretty sure we have. But self-help books and self-help podcasts and self-help videos, such a good resource, and it does not mean anything when you're going to the section and fearful of like grabbing a self-help book. It is nothing but just motivation for yourself. It is such a great resource to be used, to take notes, to get what you need to recharge. And I just want to put it out there, like I read so many self-help books that
Uh-huh. What
it's
are some of your
okay.
favorites?
You read a lot, period.
I read a lot, period. I really like this book called All About Love by Bell Hooks, and that one was really just, again, it just helps you what you identify. Just recharge the love in yourself and help attract that same kind of love that you're looking for. And then
Uh-huh.
8 Rules, I think it's 8 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty, which I listened to the podcast as well. I really liked how he highlighted all these different rules, and he even highlights like when it's not working out and how to identify that. So just giving you steps to, this is the first one in a relationship, here's the second one, and okay, if this is what you're experiencing, then recognizing this and it's not working. And I really love that one. But those were a couple ones. I know you read like Attachment Styles, which
Uh-huh.
so helpful.
Classic. Everyone
So helpful.
That
Everyone
should be
should read
required
that.
reading for everyone.
But I think that's just a really good thing to point out to people. Even videos. You don't have to read a book. I go on TikTok a lot and I look at those relationship videos, and they help you because there's a lot of people who are experiencing the same thing as you. Like when you said, Rachel, that if people are experiencing this like me, like there's a lot of us fatigued out there, and
yeah, that's a great
it helps
point.
to go together.
I think that looking at those resources can also remind you that you're not the only one experiencing this and that it's normal and everyone is feeling exhausted, especially in the day and age of technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's huge.
Oof.
There was something else I wanted to add, but I forgot. So
So when you're like feeling a recharge, I don't think we.
I
Oh, yes,
remembered.
tell it.
Something that I think can help also like I guess invigorate some more hope and joy is this is something that I learned from someone on TikTok, and I have done it a few times now. Well, not currently because I'm in a relationship, but in the past when I felt like really hopeless, is I will write a letter to myself, including all the qualities that I want in my dream person, and these are not physical attributes, but these are specifically how this person makes me feel. Like, okay, not
Aw.
he's not like he's very thoughtful, but like he makes me seen. He makes me feel so seen. He makes me feel very cared for. And you go really into detail. as if it's present tense about how this person makes you feel, and then fold that letter up and put it like, some people put it under their pillow. I just like stuck it in my journal and then forgot about it. And then one day I would find it and I'd be like, oh wow, I actually end up being in that kind of relationship after that.
Wow.
Aw.
So I don't know if
that.
it's some
I
kind
love
of like
that.
manifestation thing, whatever you
Yeah.
choose to believe in. But either way, I think it could just help remind you what qualities are really important for you. And that's something
Yeah.
that is great about dating. And you could look at all these unfortunate dates from a bright side because it teaches you so much about the qualities that you don't want in a
Yeah.
future partner, and really honing down, okay, this thing didn't really work for me, and that's great. Because if someone told you that you were 10 bad dates away from meeting the love of your life, wouldn't you be so excited for every bad date?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
then every
Yeah.
date is a step closer to your person.
Yeah.
So if you
Mhm.
start thinking about it, like, every rejection is a redirection and is
Yes.
bringing you closer to who your person, your fate is. And
I
I think
love
that
that.
just helps you a little bit, like, feel more optimistic
Yeah.
about meeting the one.
You know, I just like this wonderful movie called He's Just Not That Into You. There's the character, and she's constantly going on dates. She's such a hopeless romantic. She, like, every time she goes on a date, she's like, this is the one. Like, this is, like, has to be the one. And yeah, and but, like, she meets this guy, and of course, he's helping her, like, oh, this is the exception to the rule, and here are the rules. And he's, like, almost this, like, pessimistic viewing like person on relationships, and he helps her out in some ways, but then she starts like really feeling like they have a connection, and she puts all this effort, and she's like, and then he reads it and is like, what are you doing, like, why are you so or whatever. And there's a moment where she's like, I'd rather be like that than end up like you, because I know, she says this, she's like, I know I'm that much closer to finding my person because I'm putting myself out there. And I
Aw.
just am
True.
like, what a wonderful way to look at life. And I think it's another way to like reset yourself after fatigue, is just remembering that you're putting yourself out there, and every time you're trying and going on a date and seeing this potential person, you're that much closer to understanding yourself more. You're understanding who your person, who you want them to be. And yeah, it's a redirection into the right space. So I don't know, I think even just that is so motivating. I'm like, oh, okay, if I was in the dating scene, I'd feel motivated just from this conversation. Like, I
Yeah.
can do it again. Like,
Exactly. I would
Yeah.
hope so. And as people like start going into dating, or if you know that you have a long stint of like a lot of first dates coming up, how to avoid that burnout before it even hits you, I feel like it's okay to recognize when you need to take a step back and when you feel like, okay, maybe I'm not ready for this yet, or just constantly reminding yourself that it's going to end well eventually, and it's a lot of like, you're not alone, and a lot of people experience that same thing. But knowing, like, if you're feeling burnout, it's okay to take a step back. It's okay to delete the apps,
yeah.
focus on your friendships and yourself, and it'll all be okay.
Oh, I love that.
That's
It'll
all.
all be
I know none of
okay.
us are in the dating world right now, but like, if to the friends or to the people that are listening who are experiencing that, I feel like I even have some more information that I can give to people and just
Yeah.
say like, hey, I know it sucks right now.
This is
but
just good stuff to, like,
this is
make
good.
sure that you can reassure the people in your life as well.
And like we've mentioned before, every bad date or is a good story or
Exactly.
something, right?
Yeah.
So
And
share.
every bad date is a lesson. Like, you know, you go in hoping for the best, but also you might figure out what you're not going to tolerate,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is good. You need to
It's
know
good.
that. You need to know that.
You need it. You need
so
to know
if anyone
that.
does have any crazy stories about dates, send it in to
Please
the
write
podcast.
it in.
We're dying for a story at this point. But
Us taken girls.
that's all. Remember, rejection is just redirection, and every bad date is a great story and one step closer to meeting the one.
Aw.
Signing off. It's Cosette.
Lexi.
And Rachel.
Bye.